Hello, everyone, and welcome to the panel discussion on the ways we thought we worked, taking place as part of the London College of Communication Postgraduate Showcase. In this event, the graduating students will be speaking about their service design major project on ways of working. I'm Ruchika, your host for today, and I welcome you all on behalf of the entire MA Service Design course team. I'm a graduating service design student myself, and you can know more about my major project on menstrual health management in slums of India at the panel discussion happening on Wednesday the 3rd. Before we start, I've got a few house rules. This event is recorded and will be made public on the LCC YouTube channel afterwards. By attending a live event, guests agree to their contributions being captured and used for this purpose. We encourage you to ask your questions into the Q&A, and we will get to them during the designated Q&A part. Our community guidelines, which we expect all participants in virtual events to abide by, have been posted in the chat by Vinny. And lastly, don't forget to share your thoughts on the showcase and this event across social media by using the hashtags LCC Postgrad Shows and SD Apocalypse, both of which have been posted in the chat along with our social media handles. More and more organizations over the world are changing their work culture and promoting creativity within their teams. However, the COVID-19 pandemic has dramatically changed the way we've all been working. Suddenly, all of us have found ourselves stuck in the confines of our homes with enthusiastic children, curious pets, and sometimes even noisy partners in the background as we work. Even though we've all got some company, working remotely has made people more isolated. Our panelists took this challenge in their stride and set out on a mission to improve the working experience for all of us. So without further ado, I'd like to invite the emerging service designers to introduce themselves and their projects, starting with Min, and then we'll move on to Maria and Fawn. You're going to see 3 videos followed by a short introduction, and then we'll move on to the panel discussion where we'll get to hear more about their experiences. I'd like to apologize for the technical difficulty. I think, Vinny, you have to switch on your mic before you play.
As a person worked in a... Hi, I'm Ming. I was a UX designer and worked for many years in Beijing. I heard about service design when I was on my previous job. The qualitative research methods interested me a lot. So I took the chance to come to London and study this course. I enjoy doing research with my classmates, discussing and collaborating together. Our studio was always vibrant and full of people. But suddenly it changed in March 2020. With staying at home day by day with my husband, who also started working from home from March, it was also the time to think about my major project topic. As a person worked for many years, the work-related topic often interests me. So I decided to look into how working from home impacts people's way of working, lifestyle, and well-being. After a research period, including desk research, interviews, and myself immersing in the work-from-home scenarios, I decided to focus on the negative impact on physical well-being aspect. People have realized that working from home impacts physical health due to less movement and activities. Several factors make people move less. First one is the reduced unintended movement, such as commuting, standing and enjoy a cup of coffee with colleagues, or a quick discussion standing in front of a whiteboard. The second one is people take fewer micro breaks when they're at home. There are fewer triggers and motivations to take breaks compared with working in an office, and people often feel the need to be always at the desk due to the lack of transparency of remote working. And long-term working alone brings the feeling of isolation, which might affect people's motivation to maintain a healthy lifestyle. Then I came up with this research question. How might we encourage people working from home to be more physically active by creating incentives and social interactions? Many employers are also concerned about their employees' well-being. I heard from people that their workplace organize activities to build a sense of connection and promote well-being. But due to the remote setting, people are a bit tired of video calls. When it comes to physical activity, competitions of walking steps or burned calories are often to see. But it's not involving enough social interactions, which might not be engaging enough. Then I came up with a concept named Work Buddy. It's a digital service for organizations and individuals to plan, schedule, host, and participate in remote co-working events. It provides functions and templates for organizing fun-themed activities and encourage people to interact with each other during the work. The service can also track and record the steps and provide lightweight exercise-related advices. After several testings with users and talk with a well-being manager, the solution's value is more clear. It can help remote workers enjoy the benefit of outdoor working and increase the light-hearted, informal communication with colleagues, which is what people are missing the most at the moment. It's not going to be a solution to fix the problem, but it can be one of the choices for people's better well-being while working from home.
Hello, my name is Maria Domeyko. I am a postgraduate service design student at the University of the Arts London with a business management background. I started my major project aiming to understand how to become a more creative person. In my previous job, I was constantly asked to be more creative, which I did not know how to achieve, yet I was sure it was possible. Also, I knew the most successful companies embed creativity in their organizational cultures. So I started the project trying to answer the following question. How might we help organizations unleash employees' creative potential for mutual benefit? Immersing myself in the research, I analyzed several sources and services to understand what was of common knowledge about creativity. I exposed my thoughts to 8 experts to collect feedback and understand their points of view. I conducted surveys and deep interviews with people working in different levels and areas of different organizations, and finally ran 2 co-design workshops and 2 testing sessions to refine my service. After an extensive round of interviews, I realized that the problem involved managers with the power either to allow or block creativity, an underestimated workforce with an immense knowledge and ideas on how to improve their organizations. Lastly, HR, with the capability to mediate and support both managers and the workforce throughout this process. So what have I found? Surprisingly, both HR and the workforce suggested that one of the main barriers towards creativity was the lack of listening from the managers to the workforce. Moreover, a lack of formal instances to raise up any issue or idea, frustrating and demotivating the workforce not only at the workplaces, but also in their personal lives. It was a systemic issue. On the other hand, managers claim that innovation is an uncertain process that cannot be predicted. Therefore, they are not willing to take the risk, as they are afraid of failing and not delivering the expected results. There was clearly a listening issue towards creativity. Without further knowledge about listening, I went back to this research, where it was shocking to find out that 1/3 of the workforce believe that their employers do not listen to their ideas. However, paradoxically, 82% of employees have ideas about how their companies can improve or solve the existing problems or challenges. So now the redefined question was, how might we embed service design methods within traditional organizations to nurture a creative thinking culture through listening amongst the workforce? I conducted 2 co-ideation workshops to finally develop a prototype and test it with different organizations. The aim was to understand through this empathy map, based on the workforce profile, what managers on the one hand and the workforce on the other hand would do to promote listening within this organization. The result was a problem-solving workshop that provides a formal instance for managers to listen to the workforce anonymous ideas on how to improve organizational issues, Unleashing the Workforce Creative Potential. How does it work? It is an online problem-solving workshop, almost entirely anonymous for the workforce. Managers listen to the workforce ideas on how to improve a specific organizational issue, previously defined by them, through an anonymous postcard. An external facilitator coordinates the workshop. It is external for anonymity purposes. Managers and the workforce are previously trained to embrace listening and understand the possible impact of innovation on the service. Time and resources are previously estimated in collaboration with managers to avoid uncertainty. Then the workshop consists of a set of tools to help the creative problem-solving process. Employees are able to raise up the issues, define the issue to address, ideate solutions, define the solution, analyze stakeholders involved, and develop a step map to implement the solution. For more details, please see the toolkit after the report. Thank you.
So before sharing the video of my project, I would like to thank you, all of the audience, to join the session. So my name is Fawn and my project is called Meetwork. So Meetwork is a service that supports remote workers by encouraging them to connect nearby from online to offline in local working community to help them stay motivated and boost their psychological well-being. So the remote workers will initially connect with each other through the application called Meetwork. They can choose the purpose to connect, which are a coffee chat or an idea trade or a project collab. Then they can choose and book the place to meet in person or a Meetwork space. A Meetwork space is a local cafe or restaurant that co-brand with Meetwork, providing safe spot to meet in person, as well as remote working friendly facilities. And now I would like to show you my advertising video. So Winnie, could you please share it?
All of the projects are super exciting and valuable. And what's particularly interesting for me is that you've all taken a different approach to an overarching problem that's the same. So, Maria, you worked on including creativity in workplaces. Could you share with us the systemic issue? I know you already touched upon it in the video, but could you tell us more about the systemic issue that you encountered?
Hi, Ruchika. Yes, of course. Thank you for the question. So I discovered that the workforce of many traditional organizations are not being listened to by their managers, triggering a series of issues in the employees' ecosystem. So they basically feel inhibited to raise up any idea, as this will most likely not be considered, losing their self-confidence and empowerment. The less they speak up, the less creative they become. And this is also transmitted into their personal lives, generating a holistic issue for the employee.
I couldn't agree more. I was recently reading an article that said that most children are born creative geniuses, but only a very small percentage actually retains that creativity. And this has so much to do with the system around us. Maria, how can the workplace benefit from this project, and how would you measure its impact?
So benefits for organizations are multiple. Creativity can strongly affect an organization's KPIs, such as revenues, growth, and market share. On the other hand, it can also affect its environment. It can generate better teamwork, and it can reduce turnover as employees feel more motivated towards their organization, even leading to attracting new employees. Lastly, it can lead employees to new approaches of problem solving, leading to run the organization more effectively. On the other hand, for the workforce, creativity benefits are limitless. It leads them to come up with more interesting ideas to the obstacles they face, both in their workplaces as in their personal lives. As they have more ideas to choose from, it improves their capacity to make better decisions and solve their problems through new and different approaches, feeling more motivated, capable, engaged, and valuable.
definitely. I feel when the workplace environment is more conducive to creativity, it can have a really positive impact on the employees and in turn the company and the work that they produce. Fawn, your project focused on bringing remote workers to collaborate. How did you conduct research and code discovery during the lockdown?
So I adopt online mediums as a research tool, such as Instagram, a online collaboration platform like Mural or Miro, and also like Google Phone. So the first research that I conducted online was cultural props. So normally we conduct cultural props in a form of physical diary, but because of the pandemic, I think it's better to shift it as like a virtual one. So I used Instagram story as a medium. I illustrated a simple workspace that has a laptop and a table, and at the back there was like a clock. And then I asked the remote workers to share the photo or the picture of it. But before sharing it, you have to like decorate this illustration to look like your workspace at home. And the feedback I've got was it was fun and enticing because not only I allowed them to decorate the workspace, but I also left this bit at the bottom of the illustration saying that tag your colleagues. So it's kind of like build the sense of community through the activity as well. And another online collaboration that I can share is co-discovery. So I opened a board on Mural as a mean to find the meaning of what is remote working, what is working at the office, and what can be applied for both. So normally when we run the session, we have to gather a lot of people. It doesn't have to be a lot, but we have to gather all of the participants to be present at the same time. But the benefit of conducting this kind of research online, we kind of like give them the flexibility because they can access the board whenever they are free. And these are some examples that I conducted research during the lockdown.
That sounds like a lot of fun, and it's interesting to see how you managed to tap into the power of social media to engage with your target audience, considering we've all practically been living online now. Uh, Min, you designed a service that engages remote workers through creative and fun walks. And how did you reach out to your research participants?
Hi, thank you for the question. Because I had been working for several years, so I know some working friends and colleagues. So I just reach out to friends who work in London and the people they know. And I think there's quite a lot of benefits to reach out to people you already know because it's not hard to like schedule the interviews or ask follow-up questions. So I had quite a lot of chance to ask about their feelings and the thoughts of working remotely. And also I can see their feelings of remote working is changing gradually along with they stay at home longer and longer. And I also tried some ways of staying physical active with them. So ask them to do some sports or games together. And I also get some insights from that. And personally, I enjoy being connected with my friends through the project. But I would like to say, even it's crucial for me to have the support during these difficult times of being alone doing the project, but only reach out to the people who are easy to reach out. Maybe it's not a good way of learning. So if I start over again, maybe I will try to reach out more different people through different channels. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a really smart workaround. And I think this is something that most of us followed for our major projects. We just stuck our arms out and picked out people or stakeholders that were closest to us and most relevant to our project. And like you said, it may not always work well, but I think considering the circumstances, I think it's a good start to your project. Min, could you tell me how did you test your idea? Did you have any special or important experiences?
Because my service is trying to promote the remote working and the interactions with people. So it's both involves online and offline experience. And also working is not a new thing to people. It's a most familiar physical activity. So I realized maybe my test should not be showing the digital interfaces to people, but it's to test out the key assumption which can make my service work. So the key assumption is the remote working activities is attractive and enjoyable. So I just ask my participants to go out for remote work with me at the same time. And before the work, I ask about their willingness of participating in this kind of activity, if it's organized by their companies, and also their expectations of the experience. And then we decide the theme to go out together. I remember it's before the Christmas, so we decide a photo competition to take some photos of the Christmas atmosphere on street. So it really works well. We had some fun. And then we come back and use the video chat. I ask the follow-up questions, like how do you feel about the experience? What can be added on? And they also gave me some very useful feedback and contribute some ideas to make it more complete. So to me, the testing phase is the most interesting one in the whole process, because it's a simulation of the experience I was trying to design. And I also learned the format of testing can be quite flexible. So it really depends on what you are trying to get out from it.
Yeah, I think it's amazing how you were able to create that experience through a testing tool. If I were in London, I would have loved to join you there. Maria, what about you? Like, what did you have any aha moment during your project where you were turning your insights and findings into your design requirements?
Thank you for the question, Ruchika. So my biggest aha moment was discovering that listening was actually a real and relevant barrier towards creativity. However, it was not easy to discover this. So at the beginning, at the discovery stage, when I was interviewing people, some of them suggested listening as a related topic to creativity, but I didn't really understand the relation between these two themes, like why would listening even affect creativity? So through a short co-defined activity that I realized, I discovered that listening was actually a real and relevant barrier. So I went back to do some desk research to understand the proper relation between these two concepts. And it was only then that I was able to develop my service, the workshop.
Yeah, I think having empathy and like good listening skills can be really powerful. I think in the end, most people just want to share their ideas and want a sounding board for their thoughts. So it's really nice how you found that you were able to substantiate that through your research. Fawn, what about you? Did you have any such aha moment?
Yeah, I have, but I found it during iteration. Like after analyzing the research data, one of the insights is working in a remote team enables you to have more time with yourself, but less positive connections with the colleagues. So I iterated concepts in response to that challenge. But then the feedback I've got from the participants was like, your service seems to force them to connect virtually. So it's not natural at all. And that's my aha moment happened, like, oh yeah, that's true. So how can I shift the new finding to design opportunity? So the new finding is the physical interaction cannot be replaced by the virtual one. So in response to that, I come up with the new ideas and concepts that in response to how can I encourage the remote workers to connect in person instead. And that's like the beginning of my final concept service or meet work.
That's really interesting. I really like how you took a user's pain point and turned that into your opportunity and build your service from there. Would you like to share more experiences about your development stage?
So for the development stage, co-design and iteration are key processes. I don't know whether you guys have this kind of experience when you come up with the new ideas, you will have a thought of, this is the best idea so far. And then you realize that, okay, you need to prove that. You need to validate that with the users. So I got back to the users to validate my service and concept through prototypes before I went too much in details. So I iterated several times with different approaches, both online and offline. But I didn't want to take each iteration for so long. So I framed the time and process by applying design sprint framework. And then I analyzed what to keep from each iteration and turn it into final concept functions. And then I tested the final idea prioritizing user experience through like low-fi prototype, paper interfaces, storyboard, and wireframe. And that's how I developed my concept.
I agree. I think we've all been there where we think this is the best idea, and then it doesn't always go well. Would you be able to share any more tips that you used or like you learned through quick prototype building and even testing?
I think like you have to test it. Like when you come up with the idea, you have to quickly test it, got back to the user, because it's the best way to validate whether it's like it's problem solving or not, it's user centric or not. And you just have to like hypnotize yourself. Like you don't have to be so much in love with your ideas. Otherwise you cannot like move on from that ideas.
Yeah, I think that's really helpful for all of us. Min, could you share any key learnings from your process?
To me, because the impact of the physical well-being of working from home is not a social problem. So I think it's part of the nature of remote working. So there is no right solution to solve it. And also there are a lot of choices and the new workarounds available. So to me, the biggest challenge during the process is to find the direction and keep moving forward. So I remember during the process, I often felt stuck and lost sometimes. And sometimes I just sat in front of the computer and kept browsing the new discussions on the media about working from home. So I think there are two things which was particularly helpful to me. So one is to keep noting down the relevant information you've seen. And maybe it's not seems very helpful at that moment, but maybe later you can keep coming back and link them together. Sometimes you will get something new from it. And another thing is to talk to people and reach out for the peer support. So I joined a small group of few classmates, and we often chat online or have the video call, share our progress and our concerns, and we contribute to each other. So it's very helpful to have the opinions from different perspectives, and also you won't feel so isolated at home. So that's quite helpful to me. And I think as a student project, you need to embrace the ambiguity, because you don't have the clearly set brief initially. So you need to define your own brief. But it's a great opportunity to have the freedom to explore. And also, yeah, it's more freedom than in the real work environment. That's my learning.
Thank you so much for sharing your experiences. This has been truly insightful. We'll now be taking questions from the audience, so please put all your questions in the Q&A. And I think we've got one here, so I'm just going to go through that. Maria, we've got a question from you. First of all, great project and very valuable insight for many of us to work with. This is what Daria is saying. I want to ask you, were you thinking of adapting your service to the remote working professionals? If yes, then how?
Thank you, Ruchika, and thank you, Daria, for that question. In fact, due to the pandemic, I wasn't able to run this workshop physically, so I had to do it remote. And actually, yes, I focused my service on doing it not remotely, but online. Yeah, remotely online. So it worked quite well. To test my service, what I did was narrowing, starting small. So narrowing any possible situations to a case study. And the case study was, due to the pandemic, people have been forced to work from home, facing different issues and challenges. So what are these issues and challenges that you would like to address? So actually, through Miro, I can share the link later for the program, people log in here and they work collaboratively to address just a small issue that was preventing them to do their work as they would like to when they were working in the office. So my workshop aimed to tackle just simple and the issues that people have every day in order to have fast and quick answers and be able to tackle this issue fast. So yeah, that was how I did it. Thank you for the question.
And Chuan says, well done, everyone. All of this is very interesting. He has a general question. Based on your research, how do you think the future of work will look like? And how will the new ways of working impact families and communities?
I can answer this question. So like my project is not based on today's context, but more of the future context. Because right now, a lot of company offers like a standard working procedure of remote working. So when the pandemic is over, like a lot of people are still like working like remotely. So that I think it will benefits the local community because people don't have to like travel to the city to work anymore, but stay more in the local area. So it would help like a local economy of each community.
Would any, yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead, Min.
Yeah, and I think because the world has been through this big experiment of working from home, so the organizations and people, they already know the pro and the cons of the remote working. So I think maybe the benefit can't be replaced, like people don't need to commute and they can maybe get up later in the morning, which is quite important to the working people. But also maybe the communication issue because of lack of in-person communication. And also maybe there's some efficient issue in between, some misunderstanding. So I think maybe in the future, work from home can be a kept option for the people, for the companies, but still the companies will have some time to get people together, mainly for the open discussion and for their well-being, for the employees' well-being. And also there will be reduced business trip, I think, because people find if they have better internet connection, actually the meetings can be online. Yeah, so that's basically I got from the discussions and the articles through my research, and I believe it's true.
I'll move on to the next question then. Lara says, congratulations on your great projects. Should be interested in understanding how was the relationship with the organizations that you studied in your project, particularly about their feedback and what you think that they have gained from being involved in the project.
Okay, I can start with this one. It's a bit similar to what I said before, but about the relationship that I had with the organizations where I tested my service, I used to work for one. So I contacted them to test the service, and what they gained or their insight. Well, I gave the organizations like an instance to solve problems that are so easily to solve, but organizations due to lack of time or excessive workload never give the chance to solve. But in fact, it's such a simple issue that can considerably improve the workforce quality of life in their workplaces. And that was very useful for them because the workshop is only an hour and a half. So how in this short amount of time they were able to come up with tangible and actionable solutions to solve small problems that can have a greater impact. Specifically for one of the participants, it was a good feedback because she was like, Maria, but I don't think like we will ever solve this problem. We had this problem since forever. Like it's really hard to solve. And she was really negative towards the workshop. And in the end, she was the one that proposed the best or the solution that they chose. So she felt she could really be more creative and encourage the rest of the team to do so. So that was a really insightful feedback that I wanted to share.
I would like to follow up with that question. Did you have to, like, either before the workshops or after the workshops, did you have to like convince the managers, and or did they realize the importance of your service after the testing session?
So for one of the testing sessions, I didn't have to convince them because I offered the workshop as an hour and a half workshop where they could solve one of the problems that they usually have at work, but they don't give time to do. So it was actually helpful, and they were eager to do the workshop. But for the other organization that I tested with, I had to kind of convince a little bit the manager, or like Maria, the first thing that they said was like, Maria, how are you going to measure this, and are you sure this will have any impact? So how will this work? And I had to speak a bit more with them to show the value of the workshop.
We've got another question from Morton Spencer. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing it wrong. Do you think there has been an overall net benefit to society from this work from home experiment the world has experienced?
Sorry, can you repeat that? Oh, sorry.
Okay,
Oh,
so go first then.
Okay, yeah.
So like my service is associated with the trend of localism. And I don't know whether you guys have ever heard of this word before, but localism is more of like when people are supporting like local businesses. So like working from home allows you to like be more at home and like spending the time around your community. So the net benefits of remote working or working from home is like supporting local economy.
Maria, would you like to add to that?
I just wanted to support what Fawn said. I totally agree with her.
Okay. We have another question that says, from Laura, that says, so your solutions help other people to work or cope with working remotely, but what have you found to be the biggest challenges working on this project remotely? I think this works for all three of you because we've all worked on our major projects remotely.
Yeah, I feel like maybe the challenge is the same to all the classmates work on different projects, because it's quite crucial that you need to understand your participants, understand people's life and like the environment around them. But when you work on the project totally remotely, you just can't get that. So from my point of view, when I interviewed my participants, they will talk through about their life all day and maybe capture some pictures for me about their work setting or their exercise setting. But I still feel it's a very vague expression about them, because because we mainly talk it verbally or just through the text or voice. So I feel like if I can get the chance to actually be in the environment for a while, for one day, to shadowing them, I will get a better understanding, or a more real understanding about them. So that's a challenge to me.
Would any of you like to add to that? Or otherwise, I've got a follow-up question to the same.
I would like to shortly add to what Min says. So adding to her answer, I believe that not being with the participants like in the same space doesn't give you that sensitivity to really catch like their feeling about the service that you tested with them. So on Zoom, it's really easy to say, yeah, this was great. I will totally use it. And then you don't really know what, like you're not there to see what they're really thinking and if they actually will use it later or not. And also one of the biggest challenges is that you really need empathy to understand what are the situations they're going through. Like sometimes they don't have time and you just need to find another way to engage them. And yeah, like stepping into their shoes. Many of the women have children and they need to deal with children at home. So empathy to understand what they're going through so you can deliver a good service.
So I'd actually like to ask, did this experience have any positive or negative impacts on your projects? Like, did it create a lot of biases in your mind, or did it help you to better empathize with your audience? How did it go? I think any of you can answer that.
I think it doesn't have too much negative impact on the bias aspect, because I was trying to, I'm staying at home myself, but I'm trying to like imagine I'm another person, like staying like out space. So I'm not in the same situation with my participants. So I was trying to convince myself to be openly about whatever they said. And because people sometimes they have different feelings, or they like generally at the beginning they said, oh, working at home is fantastic, it's my dream situation, it's my yeah, I would like to keep it forever. So I was thinking, oh, is that true? But it's a little slightly different from what I've seen online. But I'm like trying to think like each individual, they are different. So they have different mindsets, they have different habits. Yeah. So I think if I was doing this project before the pandemic, I might sometimes will think I'm like, if I'm choose this kind of like topic about work, sometimes I will bring myself into the position of the users. But this time, because I'm uh, doing it remotely, I'm more conscious about I should not put myself into the shoes. Thank you.
We have another question for Maria. Maria, you are from a business background, and I wonder how your view of creativity has changed as you learn more about design.
Well, I started this project as a personal challenge to becoming a more creative person. I saw like all of you girls working at the university, all from business, well, most of you from business backgrounds, like making amazing drawings and things that I didn't really know how to do. Drawings, to say just the most basic of them. And also where I used to work for, I was constantly asked to deliver like innovative solutions, which I didn't know how to achieve. So it all started wanting to become a more creative person, and this project like completely shifted all the stigmas and biases I had in my head. That starting with, I used to think I couldn't become a more creative person. Like, of course, you can do some little things, but not like become a creative person. And through this project, I understood that it is possible. It's just a matter of practicing. And of course, the master totally helped for that purpose. All the methodologies that designers use in service design shift your mindset, like open up your mindset, and I'm completely thankful for that. Thank you for the question, Ruchika.
And we have another question for Fawn. Fawn, what do you think are the benefits of conducting research on social media? And would you keep on doing this after we could be in person again? And also, like, this is a more technical question, like, did your demographics on Instagram, like all of your followers, also match the demographics and the target audience that you were designing for? Or was there like a big gap between the, or like how big was the gap between the two? So that's 2 questions for you.
So can you repeat the last bit of the question?
Yeah, so the second question was that when all of your followers on Instagram may not be the direct target users, but they could still be taking part in the survey or like using the cultural probes. So did that impact your design, or how did you work around that?
So I will continue to do like this kind of research approach even like the pandemic is over, because like I think it's give like the user the flexibility to like to be a part of my research. But for like the second question, that all the followers on my Instagram may not consider as my target users, but I think they could like benefit me in a way that I conduct like initial research. Like, for example, if I didn't like target like the user yet, so I think it's better to like get the most information as I could. But when it comes to like the part that I already like define who is my target user or my persona, I have to like conduct more like in-depth research with like the target user. So, but I think like the way that we conduct through like online medium is kind of like works well. For example, like even I have to like conduct like in-depth interview, I think it works best when like I have a call or like video meeting with them, like because back in the day that we didn't in like the pandemic, we have to like book for the time, book for the place, and we have to get there. So it requires a lot of effort to like conducting research. So yeah, shifting to online approach, it's help both interviewer and interviewee.
There's another question. What's your favorite online tools for virtual workshops?
Online tools. So can I answer like Mural or Miro, like an online collaboration platform? Is like, it's the best actually. Like you can did like every single prototype, almost every prototype. So like from cognitive walkthrough or user journey or even storyboard, you can just like post all of the stories on that board and you just like walk through with the participants. So it's very handy.
I can completely agree. I think it's safe to say that we've all become experts, and now we can offer training to people who need help with conducting online workshops. Do you combine working physically, making things, and digitally, like on Miro? So did you also make physical prototypes of things along with the online ones?
Yes, because like in Bangkok, we like already eased the lockdown, so we can like meet in person. So I appointed the remote workers to meet with me in person and test like the flow and also like the application like physically. Yeah, and that's the research that I did besides like the virtual one.
Also, you can, well, I often use Miro as a backup program, like to upload all your information, your findings, etc. So maybe you can go out and do some interviews and then you get all the feedback in Miro. You can access anywhere as it's an online account, so it's the best program.
Min, were you going to add something to that?
Me too. I think Miro is a great tool. So because I have the design background, so to me, if I can have everything in the same place, it's easier for me to look back and link the things together. So no matter if it's not Miro or other tools, but it has the function which I can put everything there. And also sometimes I can show it directly to my participants. That would be great.
We have another question for you, Min. It's interesting that you prototyped your service as a way of researching your service. Do you think the service could have applications outside the workforce and for different age groups and demographics?
Yeah, I think about that because it's promoting the outdoor walking. It's good for people's physical well-being and their mental health. And also it combines some interactions, some themes to help people to have more interactions with other people. So I think one application might be for the charitable cause. So I remember there's a befriending service from the charity organizations like HUK. So I was thinking maybe in the future, if people want to do volunteer to help people to get them out of the house and to have some conversations, maybe they won't need to be in the same community sometimes because it's give people the flexibility to do volunteering. And also there can be like some international organizations, they have different offices in different places. So this tool can help them to like do the mentoring scheme or just promotes the communication between different offices.
Yeah, that sounds really interesting. Okay, I think that's all the questions that we can take for now. I'm afraid we'll have to end the session here. A big thank you to all of our panelists for sharing their projects and answering so many of our questions today. And a big thank you to you, the audience, for tuning in. I'd also like to take this opportunity to thank the tutors of MA Service Design for all their support and guidance, Marian for helping us host the degree show, and last but not the least, the AV team for all the tech support. This event was part of the London College of Communication Postgraduate Showcase. Feel free to browse through the student work after this event, and you can visit the link that's in the chat. Thank you so much for taking part. You're all free to leave now. Thank you.
Thank you.